So, when you think of Paris, what's the first thing that pops into your head? The Eiffel Tower, right? The Louvre? Maybe those grand avenues? And, of course, wine. But today, we're going to uncork a story that completely flips the script on the city's relationship with its most famous drink.
I mean, you know the image, right? We've all seen it in movies, read about it in books. Paris is just the global capital for enjoying a good glass of wine. You picture those charming little bistros, sophisticated wine bars, bottles from Bordeaux and Burgundy just flowing everywhere. It's a city where wine is, celebrated, consumed, and just revered.
But what if I told you that iconic image? Well, it's missing a huge hidden part of the story. A history that isn't just about drinking wine, but about growing it. Yeah, right there, in the heart of the city. It's a tradition that has stubbornly survived for centuries, basically hidden in plain sight.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The myth, the thing we all believe, is that Paris is just a stage for drinking wine. But the reality? Oh, the reality is so much cooler. The city itself is a producer, with this incredibly deep and resilient history of making wine that's as old as Paris itself. It's this amazing story of a lost agricultural past that's now making a pretty remarkable comeback.
And to really get this, we have to rewind like way back. Because this isn't some new, trendy hipster thing. No way. Parisian winemaking has roots that go back nearly 2,000 years. It's literally intertwined with the very foundation of the city.
In this timeline, it just perfectly illustrates the whole epic saga of Parisian wine. It kicks off with the Romans, who planted the very first vines in what they called Lutetia. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and you've got these powerful monasteries turning the hills around Paris into a massive, thriving wine region. I mean, at its absolute peak in the 18th century, wine wasn't a cute little hobby. It was a huge local industry just blanketing the landscape. But then, disaster struck. A near-total collapse, which was then followed by this slow, determined revival we're seeing today.
So yeah, that collapse, the late 19th century was just a brutal turning point. The massive wine empire that surrounded Paris suddenly faced not one but two huge threats that basically brought it to the brink of extinction.
So first up was phylloxera, a tiny microscopic bug from North America that just devastated vineyards all across Europe by attacking the roots of the vines. It was a total biological catastrophe. And then, at the exact same time, Paris was exploding. The city was expanding like crazy. Those grand boulevards and beautiful apartment buildings that we think of as classic Paris, well, they were built right on top of the old vineyard lands. So you had this lethal 1-2 punch that almost wiped Parisian wine off the map for good.
But, you can't keep a good tradition down, right? As the 20th century moved on, this new appreciation for the city's lost agricultural soul started to grow. People started realizing that something really vital to the Parisian identity was on the verge of disappearing forever, and they decided they had to do something about it.
And this is the crucial point. This whole revival wasn't a commercial thing. It wasn't about making money. This rebirth was driven purely by passion. It was a conscious effort by community groups, by history buffs, to reconnect with their past. They weren't trying to go head-to-head with Bordeaux, they were just trying to save a piece of their own heritage.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, how on earth do you even grow grapes in a massive, dense city like Paris? It sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, the answer lies in this fascinating concept called urban terroir.
You've probably heard the word terroir before, right? It's that French term that basically describes how a specific place, its climate, its soil, its terrain, all of that affects a wine's character. Well, urban terroir is exactly that, but with a city twist. The city itself, the buildings, the pavement, even the parks, becomes part of the winemaking environment.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The city's challenges actually become advantages. Take the heat island effect. All that concrete and pavement soaks up the sun's heat, making the city warmer than the countryside. That helps the grapes ripen. Then you have the buildings, which act like shields, creating these little microclimates protected from harsh winds. And the soil? It's a totally unique record of history, a mix of the original geology and bits and pieces from centuries of construction. See, the city isn't just a backdrop for the vineyard, it's an active ingredient in the wine.
So, what does this all mean for the wine itself? Well, today there are a handful of these small, really symbolic vineyards scattered across the city, and each one of them produces a wine that tells a story.
Probably the most famous one is the Clos Montmartre, right on that beautiful artistic hill in the 18th arrondissement, growing grapes like Gamay and Pinot Noir. But there are others too. There's a vineyard in the Parc de Bercy, which is a cool nod to the area's past as a giant wine market, and another one in the Parc de Belleville. And they're all growing these classic French grapes.
So what do these wines actually taste like? Well, don't go in expecting a big, bold Bordeaux. The urban terroir produces wines that are, a reflection of their unique home. They're generally described as being light, super fresh, and aromatic. Think delicate red fruits, a nice Christmas. These are wines that are meant to be enjoyed young, really capturing the lively spirit of the city itself.
And here's maybe the most important part of all. You're not going to find these wines in your local shop. The production is tiny, sometimes just a few hundred bottles a year. Their value isn't measured in points or price tags, it's measured in history and community. The annual Harvest Festival in Montmartre, for instance, ends with an auction where every single cent goes to local charities. It's wine with a purpose that goes way beyond what's in the glass.
It's really a story of resilience, of community, and the amazing ability of nature to thrive in the most unexpected places. It kind of changes how you see the city, doesn't it? So the next time you're in Paris, maybe you'll search for its hidden history blooming on a vine.